Welcome to Childhelp's Dare to Care podcast, where every story of struggle transforms into a beacon of hope. Together, we'll uncover the courage to rise above our challenges and rediscover joy and resilience. Let's dare to care.
Due to the sensitive nature of the content, viewer and listener discretion is advised.
Hi, everyone. I'm Carrie Pena, and this is the Childhelp Dare to Care Survivor Series podcast. We are broadcasting today from the Center for Positive Media. I'm here in studio with Michael Medora, the Chief of Staff from Childhelp, and my co-host for this podcast series. And we are so happy and honored to have with us in studio our friend Dwight Francisco from the Tohono O'odham Nation, here to share his survival story. Dwight, thank you so very much for joining us.
Well, thank you for giving me the opportunity.
I want to set the scene for the audience, what a big deal it is for you to be speaking out today. Oftentimes within the Native American community, stories like this are suppressed. You've made a decision in your life that you want to start speaking out, not only to free yourself, but to help empower others. If you could begin with, your story of abuse and what happened to you as a child.
Sure. It's very common in Indian country for grandparents, great-grandparents to raise younger children when the parent is away working or in college. And that was the case in my family. My mom was away, attending college. And I was living with my great-grandmother in the village of Little Tucson, where we're from. And I lived with my great-grandmother up until when I became school age, which was about 5 years old. So I went, after that time period, I went to live with my mom. And so in that time period, this was kind of the time period for which, the what I have come to call the sexual assault happened. And it was, someone within our community, did this to me. And in an earlier conversation, I was acknowledging that, it was something that was a big secret in my life, way into my middle-aged adulthood. And even then, it was still a big secret because the only person that I exposed or talked to about it was my ex-wife. And so I'm grateful and being able to be asked the question if my siblings were exposed to it too, that was powerful because I had never thought about how grateful I am today that none of my younger brothers and sisters were exposed to that. It was just me because I was the only one that lived with my great-grandmother at that time.
How old were you at the time?
I still have memories of the assault itself and the time period. So I'm assuming that it was in the last maybe 2 years of the time period that I was with my great-grandmother. So about 3.5 to about 5 years old. Mm-hmm.
And this was something that you kept deep inside your soul for so many years. And as you've been sharing with Michael and I before we came here on camera, that this led you down a road of mental health issues, depression, and also substance abuse. Oh,
yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, those are some of the common consequences of any type of abuse. But for myself, in my opinion, because I'm not only have I gone through the stages of being a victim for many, many, many years, but confronting the hurt and pain of what happened caused me to shift out of victim mode into survivor mode. Mm-hmm. And in survivor mode, I learned how to, one, with the help of a therapist, to confront what happened in the past, to realize that it wasn't my fault. Mm-hmm. Even though I believed for many years it was, that I must have done something to deserve to be treated that way. And that along with that came a great deal of guilt and shame that what happened to me should be kept a secret because my family doesn't need to be stigmatized by what I was already carrying myself as an individual, even though I was a child at the time. And through therapy, I was able to confront some of the after effects, which were, I'm the oldest of 6 children. So as a hero, the hero role, to be the third parent and to protect and take care of my younger siblings. I was a perfectionist, so I was definitely, everything had to have a place, a way of doing things. I lived with a great deal of shame, and so what the shame was I was a people pleaser. I had to learn how to adapt in my family and in my society by proving to the world that I was deserving of acknowledgement, love, acceptance, and to avoid being subjected to the hurt and the pain of what happened when I was living with my great-grandmother. So through therapy, I was able to, and I didn't, as a result of this growing up later on in life, I realized from therapy looking back that I was living a lie. And what I mean by that was, I had questions about my own sexuality. But again, through therapy, I was able to confront the fact that I'm a two-spirited individual, which means that today I'm comfortable saying that I'm gay, and that being gay is not a result of what happened to me as a child, but it's just the design of who I am, and that's part of who Creator made me to be. It's just that as a result and a consequence of what happened in my past, mainly because of the sexual assault, that it caused me to ask questions about myself, questions that I couldn't answer as a child. But it took going through therapy and working a very stringent recovery program to come to an understanding that this is who I am as an individual, and I don't have to hide from the past anymore. And so from 2014 forward, a great deal of healing has happened. And it's a result of not just the therapy, but also, addressing my addiction to drugs and alcohol through 12 steps. And I utilize 2 different programs. I use Alcoholics Anonymous, and, they say it's a program of anonymity, but I have the right to disclose my own anonymity. So I'm saying to the world that, yes, I am a member of Alcoholics Anonymous, and it's the only thing that's helped to keep me clean and sober today.
Wow.
It was skyrocketed to a higher level when I found and implemented Wellbriety into my life. And what Wellbriety is, it's not just the being free of drugs and alcohol. It's the balance of wellness, physically, spiritually, mentally, and emotionally. And so I live in Wellbriety. I walk the red road of Wellbriety to help me understand who I am, not just as a member of Alcoholics Anonymous, but who I am as a Native person celebrating my life, walking the red road to Wellbriety to stay clean and sober and live in balance. So not only do I live that way of life, but I'm also a Wellbriety fire starter. So I implement a variety of teachings. So study guide for the Red Road to Wellbriety book, implementing 12 steps, which is done in a circle rather than a line. I facilitate talking circles. I help individuals with smudging ceremonies. I participate and co-facilitate sweat lodge ceremonies. So a great deal of traditional concepts that help me understand how to live in balance and continue to heal from that part of the past that was probably the most traumatizing.
Talk with us a little bit about that smudging process, because I loved when you and I were talking about it, the imagery that I had in my head of how that applies. You applied it to your life as it relates to both the trauma that you experienced and how you healed from that trauma, both from the abuse as well as from the substance abuse. Talk to us a little bit about smudging, because I love that imagery.
Yeah. So the way I facilitate and help participants in talking circle, as well as individual ceremonies when we smudge. Smudging is the concept of utilizing traditional medicines, which we believe were gifted to us by Creator to help us maintain our physical existence. The concept that we are spiritual beings having a human experience says that innately I'm just here as a visitor, and that my body is a earth suit. that holds the spirit on the inside. And so as we travel through our journey in the physical existence in our life here on earth, we go through lived experiences that will cause us to carry, imbalance, disconnect, trauma, hurt, chaos, consequence. And the way I impart the understanding of why smudging is so important is, if you can imagine, being in the shower and you take shampoo and you take the essence of that shampoo and you scrub it into your hair, and then you get, body wash or a bar of soap. And the way I actually say this is you start to hit all the cracks and the crevices. And what you're doing is you're basically washing your physical existence of all the dirt, the toxins, the sweat. And so after that cleansing in the shower, you come out of the shower using that sacred water to wash away all of the impurities and the toxins. You feel refreshed, you feel clean, you feel rejuvenated and ready for the day. And if you can imagine that on the inside, we have a spirit, why would you not take care of your spirit on the inside just as good as you do with your body on the outside? And the way that our spirit gets dirty is mental and emotional capacity. We get depressed, we get angry, we get sad, we get helpless, we get hopeless. We go through a variety of different thoughts and emotions that sometimes if we don't deal with them, they build up. And we carry, the analogy is we carry a backpack full of bricks. And if we don't address that, if we don't ask for Creator's help to release and let go and forgive and heal from some of those emotional and mental capacities, then we walk around, hey, Dwight, how are you doing? Oh, I'm doing okay. Mm-hmm. You're lying, Dwight.
It's that mask.
Right. It's that mask of like, I'm okay, but deep down inside, I'm hurting so much. So smudging is a gift from Creator, utilizing those medicines and those ego feathers to help us make a mental decision that I'm now ready to let go of some of this stuff. Only when we let go of some of that stuff that is filling our spirit from the tip of our toes to the top of our head, if we walk around with all that negative energy, then we have no room for love, compassion, responsibility, integrity. It's like the cup full of water and it's all negative stuff. And so we have to get rid of some of the negative stuff and to make room for the good stuff.
Exactly right. One of the elements of Childhelp is that on the doorway of every Childhelp facility are the words, all who enter here will find love. And that's really an intention that we put forward with all of our programs and services. So when a youth contacts our National Child Abuse Hotline, and they're scared and they're uncertain and they don't know if somebody on the other line is really going to listen and believe them and help them and support them, it starts with love. But in order for that individual to make that phone call, it starts with love of self. It starts with the belief that I am worth that phone call. I am worth identifying somebody safe in my life to help get through this, that I am not somebody that deserved the type of trauma or abuse. It's not my fault, words that you used earlier. You shared with me a little bit earlier about a very special hike that you took. And when you told me that story, I got a little emotional on it. And the reason I got emotional on it is because, again, the imagery that I was able to conjure up as you were telling me the story of this hike and what that journey meant for you and that example of love for yourself that you then were able to take forward and demonstrate in the work that you're doing now. If you could briefly share a little bit about that hike, what happened on that hike, and then how that's translated to your work today, I'd appreciate that.
Oh no, absolutely. And I love that statement imparts the comfort zone that's created, the safe space that, Childhelp is creating for the victims because it's so badly needed. Mm-hmm. And on this hike, what it was the second part of a Actually, a suggestion out of the Red Road to Wellbriety book in chapter 10, it talks about these 8 feelings that we develop as we're growing and maturing in life. The very first one is trust, and it goes through these 8 stages. And it says we're going to either be exposed to negative versions or healthy versions. And it describes the components of each. And at the end of that, it says if you were ever exposed to the negative versions, and nobody's perfect, so somebody is going to benefit from a journey of wellness and healing, going back and redeveloping these feelings. So as a result of the suggestion in the book, which was through ceremony, we can go back and we can heal from this trauma. And on this hike, what I did was I got to the top of a hill. I sat and, the wind, just closing my eyes and sitting in quiet and feeling the wind in my spiritual, mental, and emotional capacity. I traveled back to that place where it happened on the reservation. And it was like an out-of-body experience, because I could literally feel myself lifting up out of my body and taking that road down towards Casa Grande, through the reservation, down past Sales into my village, and then eventually coming to the house where it happened. And I remember walking through the front door and to the back bedroom, which didn't have a door, it had a blanket, and I pulled the blanket to the side and I see the little Dwight, the victim of this sexual assault when he was, 3, 4 years old, hunkered down at the corner of the room. And now I'm getting emotional, which is okay, because it shows that this is important. But I see that little boy and I go to that little boy and I say, come on, it's okay. You don't have to stay here. You don't belong here. Come with me. I'm going to take care of you. I'm going to protect you. And it took a while, but, eventually that little Dwight reached out and grabbed my hand, and my belief system today says that young, authentic Dwight no longer lives in the past. Mm-hmm. And there was a certain point where I believed that he traveled everywhere with me. So, it's as if I have a little boy with me and he's sitting right here, and I'm like, sit right here and behave yourself. We're going to be done pretty soon and then we'll get going. But something shifted about 2 years ago. I got a dog. It's not the first dog in recovery. He's the 3rd dog. But the difference is this dog is such a big part of my current life in wellness and recovery. And I believe that the spirit of myself now lives inside that dog. And the reason why I say that is because when I come home, his name is Tanka. Tanka is so excited and happy to see me. And he'll do the zoomies back and forth, run around the house. It looks like he's doing somersaults. He comes, and I've taught him not only to, handshake, high five, but also hug. He'll jump and he'll hug, and he's just so excited to see me. And so, my belief system says, because I've made a decision to be unselfish and care for my dog, because I've made a commitment to care for that young version of myself that was a victim back then, because I've made a decision to protect and take care of him, he now lives inside of Tanka and he's comfortable there. And so when my dog sees me, that's the little version of myself saying, I'm so happy to see you. I'm glad you're home. Let's sit down and hang out now.
Mm-hmm. And what you're describing in such a powerful way is the work that so many therapists do with the inner child, right? Protecting your inner child, your young self. It is incredible hearing you tell the story. How does it feel? And for a lot of folks are watching so they can see the look on your face. And as you travel this road of various emotions, understandably so. But for those who are listening to the podcast, they don't have a view of the looks on your face. How does it feel sitting here today, standing in your power and sharing this story?
There is a profound sense of balance and peace. And that's all I've ever wanted in life is to be happy. And, life isn't perfect. I still come with my share of challenges and struggles in life. But today, number one, I'm still clean and sober.
Good for
I'm
you.
not drinking and drugging as a result of the problems in my life. Earlier, I mentioned transitioning from being a victim into survivor mode. Well, actually, that's not the last stage of that transition. What I've been taught by a very powerful elder from California is that you actually go through one more transition, and that's when you heal enough in survivor mode, you move into warrior mode. And in warrior mode, what you're doing is you're using your story to help heal other people. And today, that is the essence of my life, is the work that I do, both locally, tribally, within the state, and now nationally, is to utilize my lived experiences and my expertise in recovery and wellness to deliver the story that in hopes will help other people understand that it is possible to heal. It is possible to confront the variety of hurts and pains of the past, abuse, abandonment, sexual assault, whatever the case may be, in the ways that we have dealt with that, whether it was relying on drugs and alcohol, sex, unhealthy sexual behaviors or relationships, food, gambling, codependency. All of these are a variety of the negative coping mechanisms that people develop as a result of being exposed to these kinds of traumas. And I'm an example of that because in my story, I tell very straightforward what happened and what I did as a result of that. I lived a lie. I was married. I have 4 children. I mean, I'm not saying that my children are bad because they're the result of that marriage, which was, I thought, what I was supposed to do. I love my children very much. But I want people to understand by hearing my voice that for as long as you avoid the truth of what happened in the past, you will continue to suffer the consequences. And it doesn't have to be that way. You can free yourself of the negative consequences and the chaos and all of the, as I said, that negative energy that we carry on the inside. But it takes a courageous step, that first step, to move forward and say, I'm now ready to tell the truth about what happened. And my encouragement to the world, both those that can see these tears and hear my voice, is that I pray and I hope that you can find that courage. If you don't feel like you have it inside, pray and ask. In the Native American way, we turn to Creator, Tanatokam, Itoy. Whatever concept you have in your spirituality or your faith to ask for that courage, that strength to do that, He will provide. And I say that because I'm a living example of that. For years and years and years, I tried to do this by myself. And I found that after many failed attempts, that it doesn't work that way. That it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to seek that help. It's okay to accept that help and to impart it into your life to make better decisions about who is Dwight going to be today. And it's a decision I make every day when I wake up and I see Tanka and I smell coffee because someone made the decision to wake up earlier than me and make coffee. And then maybe I get up and cook breakfast, or, we go throughout the day just imparting the goodness that exists in our life today,
Sharing that love.
Absolutely.
Sharing that love.
Dwight, we can't thank you enough. You're a blessing to have on our show. And just, I think that you're such an incredible representative of how powerful it can be to just free yourself and tell the story. And also, as we wrap up, I also want to mention that I think you're an incredible blessing to LGBTQIA community, because the point that you made about that you are a gay man, that is separate from the experiences of a child, because there's a lot of shame that folks who are in the LGBTQIA community feel.
Right.
And so I think that that's very powerful that you distinguish those points and that you're standing up for who you are and you're proud of that person, and you should be.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you so much for being here.
Very validating. So I appreciate the words, the positive affirmations, and the encouragement too, because it helps. It definitely does.
I love the concept of Wellbriety too. Yeah. I encourage people to go look that up. That term Wellbriety. It's a holistic approach.
Oh yeah, it is.
And I think that that's something that could benefit I want to go Google that right now and find out. Dwight, thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you for the courage to come and talk to us. I know it's not always easy with the lights and the cameras and the microphones and everything. But you're incredible.
Awesome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you again for the opportunity.
And thanks to all of you for watching and listening. I'm Carrie Pena alongside Michael Maduro. Take care, everyone.
Thanks for joining us on Childhelp's Dare to Care podcast. If you found some inspiration from this conversation, please leave a written review on Apple or Spotify. Subscribe on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. Keep the conversation going with us on our YouTube channel in the comments.